Tuesday. It is Tuesday, the 276th day of the year. There are only 89 days left in 2023, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Thom. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, also referred to in the United States as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Breast Cancer Awareness Month is an annual international health campaign organized by major breast cancer charities every October to increase awareness of the disease and to raise funds for research into its causes, preventions, diagnosis, treatment, and its cure. And I got the hiccups this morning. I'm sorry. A variety of events around the world are organized in October, including walks, runs, and the pink illumination of landmark buildings. In the U.S., the National Football League promotes breast cancer awareness by incorporating pink on and off the field, and comic strip artists use pink on one day in October. There are various walks to raise money for breast cancer programs. Coincidentally, 2 years before the first NBCAM National Breast Cancer Awareness Month was founded, the first Komen Race for the Cure was held in October 1983, and now that is a year-round event. In Pakistan, we had a lady on from Pakistan a couple times, Pakistani branch of Leisure Leagues organized the 2020 Leisure Leagues Women's Football's Pink Cup 2020 held in Karachi with 8 women's teams playing and won by Daya WFC. The Hollywood writers' strike is on its way to being over, we hope. The Striking Actors Union and Hollywood studios had their first talk in months yesterday. Negotiations will continue today. The Actors Guild can now ride in and finish the job that the writers started. Well, there's also the automakers' strike. Hopefully they'll work something out soon and get back to work. And then there are more big strikes looming. Thousands of healthcare and casino workers are set to walk off the job sometime this week. As we kick off Breast Cancer Awareness Month, our G-List guest today is Amy Walsh. She's the founder of Fore Her, F-O-R-E, Her, H-E-R. It's a far-reaching support organization for breast cancer patients. It uses 3 signature events to raise funds and financially assist local individuals diagnosed with breast cancer and undergoing treatment. We'll learn more about Amy, the organization, and how you can contribute as we get into the show. Our show today, of course, is sponsored by the Best Girl Consulting Firm. Let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Customizes a solution that fits your need. So let's get to our roundtable regulars, Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker. Good morning, Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker. How you guys doing?
Doing well, Thom. How are you this morning?
We're doing fine. Thank you. Everything's good. So what's going on? Barbara, what's happening in your world?
Well, Thom, I'll start off with some sad news this morning. We had a death in my family. My 52-year-old cousin was killed in a motorcycle accident on Sunday morning and died instantly. I am so glad that my sister and I got a chance to visit with he and his mom on last year. And we had a wonderful time there in Columbus, Ohio, visiting with them. So ask for prayers on behalf of the family in that regard. And also, I wanted to talk about Dianne Feinstein, the longest serving female U.S. senator in history, died on last week at the age of 90. And Governor Gavin Newsom has appointed a Black female, LaFonza Butler, to fill the vacancy in the Senate in her place of Dianne Feinstein.
Okay. All right. Michael, what you got, bud?
Well, good morning. I have something that's kind of interesting. This past weekend, I was in Phoenix, Arizona on business. And, I was sitting outside the restaurant on the sidewalk having breakfast. And I just was looking at passersby and cars. And I looked, and there was a car sitting right in front of the patio where we were eating in the restaurant, running, and nobody was in the car. And what caught my attention was I saw a guy get out of the car and walk away from it.
Okay.
And I looked, and it had this little top on top of it and it's spinning around. It was a driverless car.
Wow.
And it was transporting people throughout the suburban area of Phoenix called Scottsdale, Arizona. And I looked and I said, that car has nobody in it. And it's just dropped this guy off. And everybody looked, and one of my colleagues had taken a driverless car from the airport to our hotel.
Wow.
And said he used that instead of an Uber or a Lyft, and that it went pretty well. And it was just odd to see this car stopped at the stop sign and then waiting and then taking off and turning and going down the street and nobody's in it.
That would be strange.
So how do they so if you take it at the airport, what is it like an Uber? How do you pay for it? I guess
right. I think with a credit card. You order it, and I think it's called Waymo or something like that. There's a name for it. I think it's Waymo. And you order it up and tell them where you're going and stuff, and they pick you up just like an Uber, and you get in it and drive off. And I was surprised that my colleague took it, and because he talked about it, because he heard me talking about it to some people, and he said he took it. So we had to go down to a meeting, and several of the other guys decided they were going to try it. So about 3 of them got one and went about 15 minutes down to the principal's office where we were having our meeting and stuff. And they came in and they said that the one thing it did was like it just jammed on brakes one time because it thought something was going across in front of them and everything. But
wow.
They kind of enjoyed it. But I know who didn't get in one.
Well, I can tell the way you were talking that you didn't get in it. So
absolutely not.
I don't think I'm ready for that either.
Yeah, I'm somewhat of a control freak because I know if I leave it up to other people, it's going to go wrong and I'll be impacted by it. So I'd rather screw up myself. So I'm not taking a driverless car.
Michael, I thought you were down in Auburn this past weekend for the game.
No, I was in Phoenix. I watched it on the game. This meeting was a budget meeting, and I had to be there. So it just happened to coincide with the weekend of the Auburn-Georgia game. So I watched some of the game from my hotel room and then at a restaurant there. I got a chance to visit my daughter who's at the Arizona State University coaching there. So we went over there and hung out at the facilities and then went to a restaurant, had dinner, and I watched the rest of the game there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thom, you weren't there, were you?
No.
Okay. It's a good crowd there this weekend.
Yes, I heard there were quite a few highly rated athletes that were there watching the game, and a lot of NFL scouts were there too. And
they wasn't watching Peyton Thorne, I can tell you that. Let's go to the next subject.
No, I don't think they were there watching Peyton Thorne.
What else you got, Michael?
Well, it's a couple things, but one thing pretty interesting. Bill Clinton, otherwise known as Slick Willie, whom I thought was a pretty good president, he has come out and he has kind of broken with Biden and a Democratic policy regarding immigration. He says it's broken and we need to fix it. And he said that.
What'd you say regarding what?
The immigration policy.
Okay.
The Biden administration. And he said, there are thousands of illegal aliens, illegals in the city, and they're being fed, sheltered, and vaccinated at local hotels, which put an enormous strain on taxpayers and causes significant debt. And they have to shelter them and feed them for 6 months, and they can't work. And that, they ought to be able to work, and they need to be able to start to work as soon as possible paying taxes. And he recommends that the U.S. start building houses right over the Rio Grande and right into Mexico, and have them placed there, and bring them in once they have a job and a place to go. And that it's really going to be a campaign issue that could hurt the Democrats coming up.
Well, I got a question. Are there immigrants coming into this country besides the people coming from the South? Are there people coming from Russia? Are there people coming from Europe? Are there people coming from all the other countries in the world? Or are they just coming from, quote, Mexico, which they're not all coming from Mexico, even if they're coming from the
south of the border,
right,
basically.
Right.
Yeah. I think right now all this is a focus on those people that are coming from south of the border.
I know there are. When I was in Los Angeles, there were a lot of Russians. Yeah. Nobody ever mentions the Russians coming into. I don't know. I just find it to be one-sided in terms of who's coming in and what needs to be done about it, and so on and so forth. And I know that there are a lot of people. I mean, anyway, I just don't. I don't. That's why he's Slick Willie. Okay. They gave him the right name. Although I did go to his inauguration, and I thought he was a good president. So, but yeah.
Yeah. You guys may remember Sam Bankman-Fried of SBF, the guy who had the FTX company and went bankrupt and, did all this stuff. Well, his trial is beginning, and there was an article that came up. He had a relationship with Tom Brady, Mr. Untouchable, and several other high-profile athletes. Well, and Tom Brady was promised $30 million in stocks and stuff. It's also been revealed that Sam Bankman-Fried also promised to pay Brady and his wife, Giselle, Brady $55 million and Giselle $20 million for 20 hours of their time over 3 years promoting his company.
For 20 hours?
Yes.
Over the whole 3 years?
Yes.
I'll take that job.
Yeah, really. I was like, where did we line up for that job?
Go ahead, Mark.
It's funny that, they say the FTX collapse was a blow to Brady financially, as the shares he was promised were suddenly worth nothing. Brady said he doesn't want to have anything to do with him anymore. He think he was tricked. Saying he tricked me and I'm angry.
Well, Brady's got a lot of money.
Yeah, so. Surely he's not hurting because of that.
What I find so ironic in this, for Brady to say that he was tricked, Brady tricked the U.S. government. He got over $1 million something in PPP money, and the PPP money was forgiven. So Tell me, why did he get over $1 million in PPP money? And not only him, Kanye West, or whatever he's known as now, he got over $1 million. Why were these people given this money when you had struggling small businesses going out of business that couldn't get PPP money, or if they did, they got $20,000 or $10,000 for something that didn't make an impact?
Right.
But you got people that are already multimillionaires or billionaires, and they're getting PPP money.
I'm agreeing with you.
Definitely. I don't think you have anyone of us disagreeing with you on that one, Michael.
Yeah, it just really makes my blood boil for that, But I guess that's why it's called America, living in America.
Hey, James Brown.
That's what he said.
Living in America.
Hey. Set that up and you hit it out the park, TG.
was gonna say he sounded a little like James Brown, didn't he?
He knew where I was going when I said
James
that's
Brown.
called living in America.
James Brown was my man. My friend, man. You know, you live next door to Manuel when you used to live in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Manuel reminded me that my mom took us down to see James Brown at the Battle Auditorium in Birmingham.
Oh.
She dropped us off down there, and we got to see James Brown live, up close and personal. And it, you know, obviously it made an impact on me. I'm still quoting him. So, Michael, I got a question for you. How's the new business coming?
Well, it's coming pretty good right now. We're kind of holding our own because it's kind of tied with the mortgage rates, you know, and the mortgage lending rates are kind of holding steady. They're not going up and they're not going down. Some expect them to be lowered. I had read an article where they talked about I think it's the National Association of Realtors are getting together and are demanding that the Treasury stop raising interest rates because it's impacting real estate agents and people that earn their living doing this. Builders are coming together and they're offering a lot of incentives because they need to finish their developments and build houses. So they're offering buy down mortgages and offering to pay points and everything else to try to get that industry moving on. You know, our company is right there. We're like the second largest title company in the state of Missouri. So, you know, we're doing okay right now, but it will be even better if the interest rates would be lowered. There is some talk that the interest rates will be lowered in 2024. I suspect that something will start to happen, especially as election comes around,
right?
Because that's going to, you know, make an impact. And right now, a lot of people are upset with the way the economy is going. And in particularly, the interest rates are impacting a lot of industry. And when you look at all the industries and jobs that are created with housing, you know, you've got people with the lumber, you know, that, not to mention the labor and the blue collar industry, you know.
Right.
So I think some things will happen from that standpoint. And here Clinton is proposing that they go build some houses over in the Rio Grande.
Oh, yeah, right.
And right above Mexico. So it's all around us, you know. But it was interesting riding around in Phoenix and seeing everything that's going on out in Glendale, where the State Farm Arena, and, you know, they've had plenty of national championships there. They are breaking ground on a huge entertainment complex out there and another big casino and, you know, hotel and all of this stuff there. And it was just interesting to see it. And the landscape, everything is flat out there except for the mountains, you know,
Right.
and so it's and I see why they call it the Valley of the Rising Sun, because it's kind of like in a valley. And let me tell you, and it's surrounded by the mountains. It's picturesque.
Yes.
But I'll tell you what, it's hot out there, buddy.
I was just getting ready to get around.
Yes.
Yeah, they always say it's dry heat. I said, I don't care what you call it, it's still hot.
Yes.
You know, you standing on the sidewalk, like about when I got there Thursday, I'm standing on the sidewalk and they said, well, this was a cool day. Yeah, well, what's the temperature? Well, 98, 99. Okay. I feel the heat coming off the pavement and I feel like I'm standing up in a dry sauna right now. So, you know.
Michael, I think that's the hottest I've ever been. Was in Arizona. I went there for a conference one year and we walked out of the hotel and within 5 minutes I was drenched in sweat. And I normally don't even sweat, but it was hot and normally it's not really humid there either, but it was hot and humid that particular day. And yeah, I think that's the hottest I've ever been.
Well, something's different about you because most people don't sweat in Arizona because as soon as it come out, it goes away. You know, I remember I almost had a heat stroke there several years ago. Well, it was back in the late 80s, early 90s. I was there. And a bunch of guys got together and said, let's go play basketball and stuff. We hear you can play a little bit. We're going to go play some full court. And I said, okay. And I'm thinking we go into a gym that's air conditioned, you know, back like we do here in the Southeast. But to my surprise, we were playing on an outdoor cement court, full court.
Oh,
and I'm telling you, after about 4 or 5 times up and down that court, I could feel some change coming over my body. And I looked at my arms. I was not sweating, but I was really hot. And I felt like I was overheating. And I looked up at the top of the hill and I saw the restrooms and all that stuff. And the first thing on my mind is I need to go up there and cool off. So I climbed up that hill, got into the restroom, took my shirt off and laid on the cement floor and brought my body temperature back down.
Wow. Yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah. So for you to say you were sweating, that's good.
That one time, yes, it was humid that particular day.
Okay. So let me run this by you guys before we move on. So what's the latest? What's your latest feelings on Coach Prime? They've lost 2 in a row now.
My feelings haven't changed. Yeah. My feelings haven't changed. I'm still the same with him. I think he's going to do well. Well, first of all, and Thom, you know this, it's a lot of it has to do with the Jimmies and the Joes, they say. And he's a heck of a recruiter, and he's going to continue to recruit. There's going to be a lot of highly rated players that's going to want to go and play for him. And he has a pretty good staff. But
yes,
anybody that thought that he could come in here and run the table is delusional,
right?
You know, and he has already surpassed what they did last year, you know,
when he won his second game.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. And I think you kind of judge success of a program by the return of investment,
right?
And they promised Deion $29 million, did not have it, but they bet on the calm. And I read somewhere where he's already brought in $99 to $100 million.
Exactly.
So they were able to pay his salary and bank some extra money. So he brought them out of the brink of bankruptcy, if you ask me. So it's still a success.
Well, yeah, I wasn't questioning whether it was a success or not. I just trying to see how you guys felt about where they're heading. But
I don't know if you saw the game on Saturday. Yes, I was going to say to play USC like they did this past weekend, that was phenomenal. They did a great job.
Play USC and to play them close or what have you is, especially from a team that only won 1 game. And it's got all these new players. I think they're doing a phenomenal job.
That was on the road, wasn't it?
No, they were at home, I think.
They were at home?
I didn't see
they were on the road.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they were playing in Colorado, but still USC and Colorado was playing without their supposedly best player on their team, and to within 7 points, and that was truly a comeback. I was watching the game before the Auburn game started, and USC was winning. I think they won this 7 or something at one point, and I saw the final score and saw that they come back within 7 points. That was a great comeback.
Yeah, Thom, what do you think about it?
Oh, I think they're doing great. I mean, I think the quote negative stuff that feelings towards Deion were basically from other people in the profession who were envious or jealous or whatever in terms of the early success that they were having. But when you're playing all these kids and you put your own kid at quarterback and whatever, and you're successful, because when you put your own kid at quarterback, you got to be successful, because you're going to get all kinds of criticism. And other than, what's her name, Taylor Swift, Deion's the hottest stuff in sports, man.
Yes. Taylor and Kelsey.
Yeah. After 1 game, that was enough of that, for me anyway. So, I mean, I wanted to watch. I like to watch Kansas City. I don't care too much for looking in the box and seeing who's sitting in the box. But again, that's just me. Anything else for you guys? Okay. All right. Well, we're going to move on. I'd like to, Mike, I got one more thing I wanted to ask you. When you were at Bell South, Were you ever a part of we had a couple of strikes when we were at Bell South. You and I were at Bell South. We overlapped pretty much the same time. Were you ever involved in one of the strikes?
No, I was not,
Oh
fortunately.
man, yeah, I was in two of them, and but I was, it's funny. I'm as an actor, I'm on the labor side, but at Bell South, I was on management side, and but none of it was ever got acrimonious that I remember. Um, it was something that had to happen, but everybody knew it'd be over pretty fast, and so we would ride around to the different locations, shake hands and talk to the people or whatever, but it never went beyond that. I just thought about that and was wondering if you had been involved in any of it
Well,
as
I was
well.
at MARTA when I was on the board of directors of MARTA. There was a strike for transportation workers and stuff here in Atlanta, and I kind of, as chair of the operations committee, I was kind of put at the forefront of that and making some statements on behalf of the striking workers and management. And luckily, I was able to maybe, how might I say it, matriculate and navigate the landmines where I made comments that made sense to both parties, and we were able to work things out. But when you look at that situations, sometimes there are things on both sides that make sense. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
more or
true.
less of sitting down and working out what works for both and what everybody can live with, rather than going down, well, that's disrespectful, you don't need this. So we kept it very on a high level, so to speak, and it worked out pretty well. And I was, to my surprise, a lot of the people that were part of the group that was striking, they were pleased with my comments and thought that I was fair and objective. So that was a surprise to me.
Well, I think when you make an effort to be fair and objective, you can bring things to a close a lot
Right.
faster
Yeah.
than if you're on one side. And maybe we can get Congress to see that. I don't know. They're having a little trouble. And
Yes, they are.
Matt Gates was our neighbor. He used to live around the street, around the
Oh, did
corner.
he really?
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh, he was a. Ooh, I almost said it, but he was a hole even then.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
gonna say, I don't think he's ever been a nice person.
he tried to get my wife involved in some stuff, and
Oh, wow.
he. I don't know. We'll have to see where all that goes, but I think I don't know. He wants to oust McCarthy. I don't.
Yes.
Who knows? Is McCarthy good or not? I don't know.
Well,
Try
the
not to have
crazy
too
thing
much.
about it, he said he wants to oust him for working with the Democrats on
I
the solution.
know. I know.
Like,
I know.
that's what it
What are
should be
you
about.
up there for? Isn't that what you're
Right.
up there for? You
Yeah.
know. But
Should be.
he was like that when he was here, and always he had this thing where he was gonna all the local politicians. Local politics is different from national politics,
Mm-hmm.
and local politics you ought to be able to do what you just said: sit down and work it out, come up
Right.
with logical, sensible things, and people act on them. No, he wasn't for that.
Was he in politics while he was there locally, Tom? I mean, was he an elected official?
Oh yeah, he was in the state legislature, I think,
Okay.
um, and there were um, he was accused of a couple of things and had a couple of instances of driving impaired and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, I think you got some people like him and what's that woman over in Georgia, Michael?
Marjorie Taylor
Marjorie
Greene.
Taylor Greene.
Yeah,
Taylor
yeah,
Greene.
yeah. I think they're milking it for all it's worth.
Yeah.
But
And their friend
anyway,
Tommy Tuberville as well. He was back in the news last week saying that the military is not an equal opportunity employer.
Let's try not to talk about
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Sean's got a minute for us. Sean, are you out there? You got a minute. Please give us a minute.
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this is Got a Minute. It's the third day of October, and to me, it's officially autumn, which means cozy apparel, my favorite chilly weather recipes, and cooler sunsets. October is best known for its holiday festivities, but it is also a month loaded with national and global holidays and spooky celebrations, such as several bully awareness days, like the International Day of Nonviolence. Breast Cancer Awareness Month is one of the month's hallmark events. It also has days encouraging pasta lovers to rejoice, a day to celebrate nature and science with World Space Week, and more obscure but exciting days like National Mushroom Day and National No Beard Day. Now, before I go, I like to say that for some people, the holidays are a time many people associate with happiness and joy. Yet more than half of Americans have felt with different emotions this season. A sizable 55% of Americans are experiencing sadness and loneliness during the holidays. If you or anyone you know needs support, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline provides a free and confidential support hotline for people in distress, as well as prevention and crisis resources for individuals and their loved ones. You can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 or simply dial 988. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, let's go to the G list. Hollywood's got the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Thom, we have the G list. Now, G list guest today is Amy Walsh. She is the founder of Fore Her, Foreher. Fore Her is a far-reaching support organization for breast cancer patients. They use 3 signature events to raise funds and financially assist local individuals diagnosed with breast cancer and undergoing treatment. So let's get Amy Walsh on. Amy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am wonderful. I'm trying to figure out how to get the rest of my head in this shot here, but I'm doing good.
Well, I can't help you with that.
Somewhere.
let me ask you about these 3 signature events to raise funds. What events do you guys use, and how do you go about it?
So we started with a golf outing, hence the name For Her. And the golf outing this year is being held in just 17 days. And on October 20th at the links at Sandestin, it's a full day of golf, food, fun. All of the golf carts are dressed with bras. And we just invite everybody to come and have fun. We have a silent auction. This was our signature fund, or like our main fundraiser for the year. However, our 5K, which is at the end of January, is becoming almost even with our golf outing. This is our second year for our 5K at the end of January. That's at Baytown in Sandestin and Miramar Beach. And it's a walk run. We have a survivor stroll, medals, shirts, prizes afterwards. And it's just another fun event to bring everybody together. And then in March, we have our tea. That's March 3rd, held at the Hilton Sandestin, again, in Miramar Beach. And this is where ladies and gentlemen, if they want to come, get together. We wear our big hats. We have a hat contest, a silent auction, dress up, have tea, lunch. Sometimes we have a speaker. Sometimes we have one of our recipients say a few words. It's a little bit different every year, but it's the same: big hats, dress up, pearls, lots of fun. So those are 3 signature events.
Okay. Now you mentioned you said something about men, but men can get breast cancer as well, right? I know a
Absolutely,
guy,
yes.
one of my friends in Los Angeles here. Can you talk about that for a minute?
I can talk about that a little bit. Over the years, I'm not big on statistics as far I know 1 in 8 women, can get breast cancer. I don't know the men's statistics, but I will say over the last 10 years, I know specifically, and I remember specifically 3 men that we have helped out get um, mammograms, ultrasounds, and biopsies. So we have paid for those. Health insurance, although it provides women free mammograms, does not provide that for men. So
Uh,
if men have not reached their deductible and they have to pay for the mammogram, then an ultrasound, then the biopsy, that can add up if they're already struggling financially. That's where we come in to help them with that. We have funds set aside specifically for underinsured and uninsured to be able to get the mammograms, ultrasounds if needed, and biopsies if needed. And we help pay for those. So we've helped pay for men for those and for women, and we connect with a couple of um, uh, medical clinics in the area that serve uninsured and underinsured residents in the area. And so if they let us know they have somebody, then of course, we say yes. There's no way that we would say no to help somebody that needs to find out if it's cancer or not. Of course, if they have insurance and once they find out they have cancer, if the test is positive, then there are several other options for financial help for medical bills, and applying for Medicaid. And our primary goal typically is to help with living expenses for breast cancer patients who are undergoing treatment. But that uh, the initial testing that is hard to get covered, especially for uninsured, until they're approved for Medicaid, and that can take months, and they don't want to ruin their credit if they're trying to improve their credit. So we step in and help them.
um, just for information purposes, the man who I know of that had breast cancer was Richard Roundtree Shaft. Um,
Oh,
he ended up,
wow.
he had breast cancer. And, so let me, Michael, you got a question?
Sure. Amy, I'd like to ask you this, and can you tell me where technology is today when it comes to detecting and pinpointing breast cancer, and is it preventable? And if so, how do you prevent that if you can detect it? I'll have you elaborate on that, please.
I will try to elaborate on that. Technology today, so when my mom was diagnosed, technology is a night and day difference. Um, and excuse me, she was diagnosed in 1986 because she felt a lump. Um, Now they do genetic testing, they have the 4D mammograms. So I think everybody should get genetic testing, not just for the BRCA genes, for any kind of cancer gene where testing is available. Um, Knowing whether or not you have that gene will help you make the right decisions for you as far as whether get a mastectomy or hysterectomy. For men, I'm not really familiar with any other testing except for get your prostate examined, do your self exams on yourself, and get to know your body and all the lumps and bumps that are in there. And if you feel something weird, talk to your doctor about it. I have a gland that swells up every now and then, and it freaks me out. And then I go to the doctor. They're like, "Yes, it's the same gland. You've talked to us about that." But I've done my sisters and I have all done genetic testing. My older sister and I were negative for BRCA. My younger sister was positive, so she has had double mastectomy and hysterectomy. And I think just knowing where to go with your health in that sense, and whether or not you should have those preventative surgeries or preventative treatments if you don't want to have the surgery, um, will help in the future lessen the occurrences of breast cancer. Um, I love the new technology as far as the 4D mammogram. It's clear, it's amazing. It can find so many different things. And of course, the follow-up is the ultrasound and the biopsy. And I've had that. I have lumpy breasts, and it's all fatty tissue, and fat on a mammogram and an ultrasound are bright white, and cancer is bright white. So if you Google or Bing or whatever search engine you use, if you look up like breast cancer mammogram and they'll sometimes have comparisons of a non-cancerous breast. They look the same to me, but doctors who are trained in this, they know what to look for. So I had a mammogram that came up with something suspicious. It ended up being just a small, dense, fatty tumor or it's small, dense, little, less than the size of a pea. When they did the biopsy, they took it out completely. So I was very fortunate. And then, but just being able to see on my films how similar everything looks, the 4D mammograms, I think are great. And I think it'll do a lot to help find breast cancer early. And then the earlier you find it, the easier your treatment. Sometimes finding it early, you will not have to have chemo and just have radiation. And then follow-ups, as long as nothing is spread and no lymph nodes were involved. Did I answer your question? I don't know.
Yes. Well, that was where I was headed, because I figured if anybody would know, you would know because of what you're doing. And yes, you did. It's interesting that you say, examine yourself. Things just kind of happen to me sometime, but a girl I was dating once, I detected that she had a lump on her breast. And I said to her, I said, I think you may have an issue here. You need to go get it checked out. I think I noticed a lump. And it turned out it was. And she was able to get it removed, and everything turned out okay for her because it was early detection, and I was kind of, in this precarious situation, but I said, you need to talk to your parents. And her doctor her father was a PhD over at Tuskegee and stuff. I said, you need to go talk to him. And I was real happy that I discovered it, but I was hoping they wouldn't come back and say, well, how did you find that?
Yeah, right.
I was going to get around to that.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that one.
Yeah, but it really wasn't that. It was just out of a hug, when I just kind of noticed something, and I said, you need to get this checked out. So it turned out to be great. So, and I just noticed one of our viewers here said that her insurance would not cover genetic testing. Do you know of any insurance out there that would do it? That's the problem with our insurance and healthcare in America. We don't practice preventative medicine. Right. We practice reactive medicine, or treating the symptoms rather than preventing something from going on. And the way insurance works is you got to get it before you need it, because if you need it, you can't go get it. The same as getting a loan from a bank. If you don't need the money, you can get it. But if you need it, you can't get it. So you mentioned working with people with insurance. Any particular insurance you worked with out there like that, other than like your Aflac or Colonial? It's easier to get that because that helps bring in money in case that you get diagnosed.
Correct. I don't know. Every insurance plan, say you have Florida Blue, there are tons of Florida Blue levels in their insurance plan. So it just depends on what level you have. Same with United Healthcare. They have, I don't even know how many, each insurance company has so many different levels, and each level covers something different. Um, so the genetic testing that my family used was Myriad, Myriad. I believe they're out west. I want to say California, but I know they're out west. Um, and I think one of the sisters ended up paying $100 for it, or something similar. I don't know if they were having a special, but that's a company that we used, and we on our applications we notated each other so that they could link our family together. We don't know if that worked, but we wanted in our notes that we were all related. Um, my mom has since passed, so she did no genetic testing on her, and I'm sure genetic testing was available in '86. I'm not positive, but I don't know if it was something that was only done for crime scenes. I'm not familiar with that part. Just my own experience and my sister's experience with genetic testing. However, I did take, was it there's some genetic testing like ancestry DNA testing, or there's some other one. And color testing is another one that you can take, COLOR. And that one also does specials throughout the year. This is really weird, but try around Thanksgiving weekend and see if you can get one of the genetic testing kits on sale. And those are the ones you spit in the tube. But they also will test for some of the breast cancer genes as well as other tests in there. And you have different options for those tests as well, which may be cheaper than Myriad, but that's the company that we went with that's reputable that we know of.
Okay. Barbara, you got a question?
I do. Amy, you've talked a little bit about the helping with medical bills and living expenses. Are there other services that you all offer your clients, your people you're working with? And how do people find you that may need assistance? How do they apply?
So our application process, we think, is the easiest one from other organizations throughout the country that we've researched. You go on our website, foreher.org, FOREHER.org, and go to the Get Help page and scroll down just a little bit. There's an application process. It tells our rules of the application. Must be undergoing treatment, live between Pensacola and Panama City. We have a HIPAA paperwork in there in case somebody applies and we're not familiar with the doctor. We'll call and just verify that that person's a patient for breast cancer. We don't want to know any other information. We just want to verify.
Right.
We don't ask for any financials. The only thing we ask for is the application to be filled out, the HIPAA paperwork, and clear copies of their most recent living expenses that they're asking for us to be paid. And once they fill out the application online, it gets sent to our patient liaison, Ginny, one of the board members. She will call the applicant and get to know the applicant just a little bit better. Sometimes women will put on there, I just need $1,000 for rent. And then when Ginny calls them, well, they need $1,000 for rent, but their power bill is 2 months behind. Their internet bill is 2 months behind, and their kids need the internet for school, or their husband needs it for work, and they're going to lose their car. That just things kind of tumble out of people's mouths once they are able to talk with someone who is as fantastic as Ginny to be able to talk with people. So she gets to know them a little bit better, gets more information. She'll email the board and say, I've talked with Amy Walsh. This is what she applied for. Here's more information about her. She's a mom that lost her job because she's going through treatment. They couldn't keep her on, and the dad is in the military or working full time, and they have 2 kids at home, and this is where they're struggling. And she'll list out the bills and what she suggests, what she thinks would best serve them. And
Right.
then as board members will respond back with, we think we could pay 2 months or 1 month or 3 months, or let's pay more toward the house payment and the car payment, and then less toward utilities, or whatever the combination is. It's different for each applicant.
Right.
And then if they have other bills that we don't pay credit cards, we don't pay homeowners dues. We prefer not to pay medical bills. We would prefer to pay living expenses first. And then, because if they had applied for Medicaid takes months sometimes for them to get approval.
Yes.
And then Medicaid will back pay those medical bills even if they're past due. So that us paying their living expenses will help them free up their other money for clothes for the kids, for groceries, for their child to stay in gymnastics for the next few months. So just giving them a little bit of wiggle room with their own money by us paying, a month or 2 of their expenses or whatever the case may be, that frees up their money, lets them breathe a little bit for a few months, and that's what we're
Right.
here for.
Let me
Awesome.
clarify, Barbara. Get just a second. So this is you're Northwest Florida,
Yes,
primarily.
it's Escambia County to Bay County.
Okay. Do you and that takes in Pensacola, Fort Walton, Destin, Panama City,
Yep.
and all in between.
Yes.
Do you reach beyond that area, or if somebody is watching this, because people are all over, and they want to get some information that maybe is outside of where you guys work, is it national? Not just you, but is it national where they could find some information?
It should be. It's
Okay.
not. I know of a few other in this area. One of the resources that I really push toward people that reach out that are not from this area is the Patient Advocacy Fund. And if you just Google that, they have a ton of resources on there for any kind of cancer. One of my cousins who had breast cancer used them, and I'm not sure specifically what for, but I know she had posted at one time that she was thankful for them for helping her while she was undergoing breast cancer treatment. And one of the things they have on their site is that they will help apply for Medicaid and appeal any Medicaid denials. So that is a really key thing for me to let people know, is to look for the Patient Advocacy Fund and utilize their services. And they also have other information on their site that will guide you to what resources are in your area. And Google free breast cancer stuff. There are organizations out there that want to send you like a happy bag, or we have knitted knockers across the country, and it's women who knit boobs for women. You can tell them what size you want, what color you want, and it will go in place of if they've had a mastectomy or double mastectomy, they can put it in their bra and it fills their bra. It makes them look like they have real boobs. And they're the cutest things. They're all shapes, all sizes, and they're lighter and more comfortable than the rubber plastic prosthesis that women get. Wigs is another thing we get a request about.
Right.
Most insurances will pay for a wig up to a certain dollar amount with a prescription from a wig store that works with that. So check with your insurance agent, check with your insurance, and make sure that a wig is covered. I can't think of anything else. But another way we reach people, just really quick. I'm not sure how much time we have left, but we do have a support group, and our support group meets the third Saturday of every month in Santa Rosa Beach at the Coastal Branch Library on 331 South. We do that in Zoom at the same time as we do it in person. So 9 to 11, the third Saturday of every month. And people can email me and let me know they want to be on that list. We had people from Atlanta come. We've had people from out west come. We've had people from Destin come because they just don't feel like driving on a Saturday morning. So anybody from across the country or across the world, if they want to join us from that 9 to 11, they don't have to talk. They could just sit and listen. They can talk they can be the only one talking all hour. If they need to talk to somebody, we'll sit and listen. But we have our regular in people and we have our regular Zoom meeting at the same time, and our regulars come via Zoom. We have one lady that will put her on mute and she will cook or prepare for her day and just listen to us. And when she has a comment, she'll unmute and talk with us. But it just is a come and go. So we have that. And then we're starting a new support group in Panama City on November 2nd. Right now, that's as soon as we could get in. They have the Hurricane Michael display in that library in Panama City. So we will be there November 2nd from 9 to 11. That's an in-person only one, only in-person only support group. And then we also have books that we share with our local Ascension, Emerald Coast, the Miramar Beach Women's Center, that are called the Breast Cancer Handbook. And if anyone would like one of those, I can send those out. If we have people reach out that are from out of our area that are looking for some sort of support, we'll send the Breast Cancer Handbook out to them and have them take it into their doctor with them. And it's just a resource that we happened upon that we think every doctor, every oncologist should be giving out to their breast cancer patients. It's got every breast cancer diagnosis in there, every treatment that is for that breast cancer. It has diagrams in there. It lets you know if you're having a certain kind of treatment cocktail, what the side effect of the medicines will be, and when they will happen, and how you will feel. In the back of the book, it has a place for notes where you can ask your doctor, you can keep track of your health, how you feel, and any other information. There are pull-out pages in the back, or you can leave them right in the book. But I have friends who carry theirs around to every doctor appointment, their family doctor, their dentist, their oncology appointments. And it's got everything in there that they need, notes in the margins of the book that they've written. And so we send those out to people who request help if we don't offer services in their area.
Okay. A couple of things. You mentioned Jenny Richardson. She's on here with us this morning. And
hello, Jenny.
Hello, Jenny.
Yeah, she's our patient liaison, and she is amazing. And we don't know what we would do without her. Talking to the applicants is really hard. And I used to do it, and I get way attached, so I cannot. I'm so thankful for Jenny. So we have board members. Our board members are all volunteers. Everybody has lives outside of the charity, but I'm thankful for my board members, Jenny and Jennifer Crawford and Daphne Martin. They're amazing, the amazing support group of ladies, and we wouldn't be where we are without them.
Okay. So, Michael, Barbara, you guys got anything else?
I was just going to add, Amy, if you need volunteers, how do people volunteer for assisting with things like your projects that you have, your fundraisers?
We have, so right now, the only open support or the only open volunteer sign up that we have is for the golf outing right now. And that can be found on our website, of course, under the events tab for the golf outing. There's an area where it says volunteer here and it takes to a volunteer sign up page. And it's broken down for that. So we do need volunteers for that. We're always looking for silent auction items and sponsors. Um, and volunteering, I think for us is fun. You get to be included in the lunches and the fun afterwards. We ask all of our volunteers to stay and enjoy the food that we provide for the golfers. Um, it's just a good time. Everybody is out there just for a good time, for, a
Okay.
good cause and to raise funds. So always check our website for volunteer opportunities. Um, as we start getting prepared now for the 5K in January, we'll get the volunteer sign up on that event page as well.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
let me read this. The lady said that her insurance would not cover genetic testing. Then she came back and said out of pocket cost was more than $200. I didn't qualify for 4D test because of the 5-level infusion in neck and would not be able to turn my neck to a required position for that test. Waiting for new machine to accommodate my disability. So
I wonder if they could do an ultrasound instead of, yeah, she needs to talk to her doctor, I think, about getting an ultrasound instead of the mammogram for right now, and then just follow up with that. And then maybe if she has an insurance agent, talk to her insurance agent or find an insurance agent that will talk to the company on her behalf regarding genetic testing. Um, Insurance agents are very underutilized. They want to help people that have insurance, and the agents just, and they'll go to bat for you. If you have any questions about your insurance, contact an agent. And just, and really, if you don't have an agent, contact any agent and say, I have this insurance and I have a lot of questions. Do you know somebody that can help me? There's always somebody that will help you. So I would ask your doctor first about getting an ultrasound instead of a mammogram due to your medical condition in your neck, and then contact an insurance agent for sure.
and we got one right here on the show.
Right.
That's what Michael does. Anything else?
I love insurance agents. I call mine like on a weekly basis. I have this question, and he's always like, okay, this person is a person that specializes in that. So yeah, I love my insurance agent.
All right. Okay, good deal. Michael, Barbara, anything else from you guys?
Just want to say thank you for what you're
Okay.
doing, Amy.
Yes.
Thank you. We appreciate the support and we appreciate being asked to be on here. It's been fun.
Okay.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Thank you.
definitely. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think on this show before we've talked about NIL, which is how name, image, and likeness, that money that can go to college athletes. Well, this guy, Caleb Williams, who plays with Southern California, he's one of the top earning college football players in the country. He has an estimated NIL value of $3.2 million. Second highest earning college football player and the fifth highest earning college athlete overall. He has signed multiple NIL deals with various brands. Some of the people he's signed NIL deals with are Beats by Dre, Dr. Dre, headphone company, Fanatics, memorabilia deal with an online sports retailer which sells his autographed jerseys, helmets, photos, AC plus ION water, alkaline water brand, which features him on its bottles and website, Athletic Brewing Company, faculty, Celsius, Hall of Goats. I won't read them all. And he's expected to be one of the top selections in the 2024 NIL draft. He's got over 236,000 people on his Instagram, 67,000 on Twitter. And as I said, he brings in about $3 million a year as a college football player. Things have changed. And that is how I see it on this October the 3rd in the year 2023. That's our show for today. We want to thank the audience. We appreciate you. We want to thank Amy Walsh, our G-List guest, for all that valuable information on breast cancer. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl. Thanks again to the TWT team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, and Michael, and Joyce. And that's it for this October the 3rd. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Peace.